Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Happy race day. I am Becca Cottingham, and yes, there's an additional last name there, Quimby. For those who didn't catch the fastest Monster Minutes last weekend, sorry about that. I got married last weekend, so I apologize for the short Monster Minutes last weekend. Things, as always, for weddings went a little haywire. With picking things up, getting things set up. Wedding weekend didn't go quite as smooth as we hoped. It ended up beautiful and perfect as we wanted it to be, though. And so Monster Minutes didn't happen as we had planned for it to. So I'm sorry about that, everyone. But I'm back. Honeymooned. A little bit of a tan / windburn going on. So, yay! It's race weekend once again. Yes, Darrell has hyphened or shortened my name to CQ because I just added Quimby to my last name. So it makes it super long now. I just sign everything Quimby now instead of Cottingham Quimby. And if the husband comes in and plays with the curls today, I'm sorry. I can't tell him to go away now. I just can't get away with it. Before I could. So I hope you brought your coffee. I have mine. So we can talk about Atlanta and all the craziness that happened. Holy smokes, we tied a former Atlanta caution record. And then some, and the new mini super speedway that they built. Holy smokes. I enjoyed what I got to watch of Atlanta. I didn't get to watch all of it. We were traveling most of the day on Sunday. We flew to New York, watched it play, and then we came back to the hotel so I could watch NASCAR. How awesome is my husband? So that I could watch NASCAR. I'm blessed. William Byron did end up winning stage 1 and will end up winning the entire race in the end. So awesome. So to watch him fend off the crazy competition, it was a fierce competition and keeps this really young streak of winning going on for NASCAR right now. It seems to be that we have this 30 and below winning streak happening. Like if you're under 30, it seems you're gonna win. That's just the go at it, especially with the new car. We had, a massive accident there at the end on the final lap that involved Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace. I was like, holy smokes. Chase Briscoe, all involved in it. And what could have resulted in a really nasty wreck, scraping the wall as they were charging for the checker flag. It was brutal to watch that. I was like, they were so close. Is it classified as a super speedway now? I don't think that they're necessarily classifying it yet as a super speedway. I I'm definitely going to have to check on that. They are running a super speedway like type package on it because of the changes that they did make it. Atlanta has the higher banking and the corners and the wider straightaway from the changes that they made and tighter turns, which imitates the super speedway style racing, but it's not. You don't have like the Daytona / Talladega quite feel to it. We did have like 13 car crashes though, which collected quite a few drivers. Big name drivers as well. Tyler Reddick, Kurt Busch, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, and multiple other drivers were involved in several accidents. We had side-by-side racing. We had multi-wide racing, 3 and 4 wide racing as well because of the extension of the track. So they had several cars that had rear failures throughout this entire Atlanta race, which was really sad to see. They were not seeing concerns in the tire wear. They were just overloaded, and is what Goodyear said. They were collecting the Goodyear come back and said, okay, we're going to look at it. I know, my school. Look at it and see what's going on. After the race, we have what's called the media center. And they stopped by the media center and said they were collecting right rears that went down by the leading cars of Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick, and Stenhouse. Said they were overloaded and over deflected. He cited the common theme of one of the manufacturers, and that the wear wasn't an issue. So I guess they'll take that information, that knowledge, and go back to the drawing board of what they need to do, the teams, to fix that issue, because that took out quite a few drivers. As we know, tires have been a huge topic of conversation with the teams, with NASCAR, and how to fix this issue, and what we could do to make things better. It was just huge issue. We also saw multiple drivers with penalties. It's been a penalty year already for drivers. In the pits especially. Whether it's been for speeding, not getting lug nut, because there's only one of them now, tightened. We had penalties for Ross Chastain, Kurt Busch, Daniel Suarez, Corey LaJoie, all who had issues. There was no post-race inspection issues. However, they did take the number 6 and the number 9 car to R&D for further teardown. Once they took the number 6 and the number 9 to R&D for further teardown, they did hand out a very large and hefty penalty out to RFK Racing this week. And by hefty, I do mean hefty penalties. NASCAR at the beginning of the year came out and said, we are not playing with this car. We are not playing with the penalties. If you mess with it, you will get penalized heavily. And they were not kidding. Once R&D finished reviewing the vehicle of the number 6 and 9, they found that there had been a modification to a part on at least the number 6 of Brad Keselowski's vehicle, and it was not a really good penalty for them. It ended up with 100 points, 10 playoff points, $100,000 fine, and a 4-race crew chief suspension for the number 6 crew. Jay says, I'm not sold on this next gen car or the new tires. I think it's making drivers work for it. NASCAR Cup Series drivers wanted something different, a new challenge. They wanted something challenging, and they're getting something challenging. The new tires are definitely proving to be a challenge for them, and I think the worst part is they need to figure out how, yes, the tires can take more of a beating than the prior tires. Like if you scrape the wall, you needed to get to pit road immediately because you were going to cause a massive accident or bring out a caution immediately. The tires that we're currently running can take slightly more of a beating, which is wonderful, and I love it for that purpose. 100%. They can take more of the beating that will bring it out. It just causes more of an issue that the flat tires won't move like once they're flat. It will take a whole season to figure out. That's the only thing that I'm weary of, like that it's taken this long for them to figure out a solution to that problem, and that drivers are having to lose a lap or two because they are losing time for them to get moved onto pit road by being towed or move, like being pushed or towed into the pit road to get their tires changed. I know NASCAR has been actively working on it with Goodyear to get that taken care of, to fix that issue. It's just taken some really, to me, it's taken too long for them to figure that out. Hopefully they'll get that figured out ASAP, or find a way around it. Like today, we're at a road course. It's going to be important that you are very aware of your tires. If you lose a tire in the middle of turn 5, you still have 10 more turns almost to get through. So it's one of those things where you can't, like, you're gonna lose a lot of valuable time at that point. So overall, where we stand for the results, of course, for the Atlanta race: William Byron, Ross Chastain, Kurt Busch, Daniel Suarez, Corey LaJoie, Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano, and Alex Bowman were your top 10. Which, that's another amazing run by Daniel Suarez. Justin Marks just celebrated his birthday this week as well for Trackhouse. So that's pretty cool. are seeing a definite mix-up of drivers winning. I think they really touched on this. They normally have always said, pretty much you win, you get in. We've had multiple different winners this year. It might be the first season in a very long time that you're going to need to do more than just win to get in to this series playoffs. It is probably going to have to be, you're going to have to win multiple races to get in. We've had multiple winners already this season. There's only 16 spots for the playoffs. And if we have more than 16 different winners, you're going to need more wins, more points to secure your position. Do you see Suarez winning in the near future, and which track do you think is his best chance? Suarez and Ross Chastain have been doing very well. Justin Marks and his team have really stepped it up, and as I've said before, 2 weeks ago, they've really put in a lot of work when they took over and got that the papers and the data and information that they received from the buyout that they did on what is Ross Chastain's car and the number one. So taking that buyout or taking that car on seems to be very beneficial to that team. So do I see Daniel Suarez winning in the near future? It's very, very possible. He has been running very well, and has been running very well, like even in the last few weeks. He has come very close to winning that first race. I was like, holy smokes. As before, like, you didn't hear much about Daniel Suarez. Like, he was a 15th place or lower driver. And I'm like, what the world? And now it's like every week, like top 5, top 10s. I'm just like, the whole program seems to have turned around and taken on new life, which is really good to see with this new car. I know that a lot of the drivers are having fun with it, but for some reason they have taken on a whole new life with this new car, unlike other groups. Especially for a smaller group and maybe one of what's considered a less funded group. While they have more funding than other teams, they were still one of the smaller underfunded teams. So, which track? I mean, he did very well. Just like 2 weeks ago, he did super well. And we do go back to Phoenix, so it's possible that he could pull it off again when we go back to Phoenix. But if they make the right calls, I mean, really, he's been a contender in a lot of different races, so he could really win anywhere. He could possibly win in a road course too, if they make the right calls. And that's the thing, like, people have to make the right calls, make sure they're not in the wrong place, and just keep their car clean. And that's what they've been focusing a lot on, it seems, is keeping their car super clean. I think Ross has brought a new life into them as well and really helped too. I know that Kurt Busch is one that they talked a lot about bringing life to teams and building teams up better. And I think that when Kirk and Ross worked together. Kirk probably taught Ross quite a bit as well. So I'm pretty confident that, Ross and Daniel are learning together as well, which is good. Ross just had a great race yesterday in the Xfinity Series. So any of these races coming up that we can see, if they work together, as long as they're not in the wrong place at the wrong time, I really could see Daniel winning anywhere because he has the background to be able to do it. Today might be a little more difficult because we do have some huge drivers that are big in 2 road course wins, such as Chase Elliott or Martin Truex Jr. or Austin Cindric, that are huge, road course drivers. While, Daniel didn't do as well last year, there's a whole different team that we're seeing this year from them. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can bring to the track and how they perform today. It's going to say a lot about that team and where they have built and where they're building to. So hopefully they continue with this top 5 and top 10 life that they are in NASCAR that they're building. So that, because that does so much for team momentum. If you are consistently, hitting those numbers or hitting those marks, being in the top 5 or being in the top 10, does a win do even more? Absolutely. A win 100% does absolutely more for your team morale. But seeing you being consistently up there and going for the win still does the same thing. Whereas before, it was almost like they weren't competing at all. So, just completely different team. Super excited to see the difference in them. They did talk to the drivers after Atlanta. Because we had, a lot of drivers weren't too happy that they were repaving Atlanta and redoing it. So they did go back and talk to people and ask them how they felt. William Byron definitely said it was different. Honestly, the last few laps there, just trying to manage the gap to Bubba Wallace and trying not to get too far out in front. Along with there being, a new car. So it was a little bit of a super Seaway. It was a lot of fun. So he'd had fun with it. Ross Chastain, he finished second. Again, they finished second and fourth last week. For Trackhouse, this Gen 7 car can take a lick. He had a tire that blew out of nowhere while he was leading. So he said the track was fast. His car was fast. So it was cool. He liked it. Kurt Busch, we were on a different planet today with the draft and the way the cars raced. Wow. I was catching air off of turn 2. So he had a little bit too much damage is what he was talking about. We weren't on offense. So if you're not on offense, you kind of have to ride and wait for holes to open up. And he got a top 5. So he was happy. Daniel Suarez, it's just like that, up and down. Again, great for Daniel Suarez. But again, they talked about fast pit stops, but we made Atlanta Motor Speedway like a super speedway. We missed the wrecks. Corey LaJoy. Corey LaJoy finished 5th. I feel like that's crazy. Again, another underfunded small team. Talk about how we made it into like a super speedway, and they were able to miss the wrecks. They're hoping to maintain momentum over the next couple weeks. Chase Elliott says it was crazy. Hopefully it was fun to watch because it felt like it was wild from his seat. He says it was very much like a Daytona or a Talladega. Just trying to position yourself at the right spot and hope it goes your way. So, it's a lot of different feedback. I'm trying to see if we got the Denny Hamlin answer. Yeah, we did. Denny Hamlin was absolutely against free paving Atlanta. The track gets light off of turn 4. The car lifts up, and that's where I needed it to back off when he was trying to help Kyle Larson. And that's where he ended up spinning him out. He talked more about where he was making bad decisions than the actual track himself. But I don't see where he said anything necessarily about the vehicle or about the repaving of the actual track. So they are hacks. No, that's only Bowman. But yeah, it's most everybody, if they were winning, it's good to see the part. Yeah, in NASCAR, I love seeing the new drivers and small teams get the win. It's definitely interesting to see that with the change in the car, and that's why NASCAR made the penalties so stiff, especially against RFK Racing. Yeah, they are going to they're going for, yes, even the smaller teams can go to the racetrack and 100% compete, not go and not be able to compete against the big name groups. And I like that. It gives them a chance and not just be out there and causing issues. And so then if they're not competing to the level that they should be, then that gives NASCAR grounds in my world, or in my thought process, I should say, to say, hey, look, you're not doing what you need to do. You lose your charter. Because NASCAR has that ability, that right to say, okay, we've made the playing level equal. Whether you are a small team or a non-small team, we've equaled the playing ground. Everybody gets parts from the same vendor. Everybody gets the same this across the board. So if everybody is getting the same this, and this from the same vendors, then there's no reason that a small team can't compete against someone like Hendricks. Can they afford maybe a smarter crew chief? Yeah. They can pay them better money. But that doesn't mean that the other teams can't compete. You just have to be smart, invest better as a smaller team. You have to work a little bit harder to get sponsors. Absolutely. And I think I was on Twitter last night, or at the crack of dawn this morning, 1 o'clock. And I was reading one of the Xfinity drivers. And he was wrecked yesterday. And he is a smaller team. And he is a very hands-on driver where he went and he talked to the driver that wrecked him. He's like, I was racing him clean. But the other driver didn't appreciate the way he was being raced by other drivers and took his aggression out on a driver that was racing him clean. But now, because he's a smaller team and underfunded, he has to go, and him and his guys have to bust his butt to get a car ready for the next race. And it makes things difficult for them sometimes too, because they don't always have that funding or that backing. So, I still see that side of it too. I get it. It's like Corey LaJoy. I saw him in Richmond when I was there in the garage. He had an issue with his car, and he was there. He was very hands-on with his vehicle, working on it, right there with his team, not, sitting in a motor coach, chilling. No, he was in there in the garage, hands-on with the team, working to get the problem fixed. So, because they are a small team, it's just the difference between the two. A lot of the smaller teams, they are more hands-on, all of them, than the bigger teams. So sometimes it means a little bit more to them than it does the others. And I still recall listening to, I believe, a story from Dale Jr. talking about how that's how he got started a lot of times, was he'd be out in the garage working on the cars. Well, yeah, his last name was Earnhardt. He still had to work for a lot of what he got. It wasn't always given to him because his last name was Earnhardt. And he would still be out there working on things. It wasn't just freely given because of who he was. He had to earn the respect. So, and I think that's part of what made me respect him as a driver, was because it wasn't always given to him because of who his dad was. So it's just a whole different ballgame when you have to earn things and put your blood, sweat, and tears into it. I think sometimes you appreciate it more. I know that's what I had to do for school. Made me appreciate it a little bit more. We do go to the Circuits of America today. It is a 3.41 mile track. Whew. You're going to be going forever and ever, y'all. Today, we're scheduled to give the green, or the command to start engines around 3:38, and the green flag is scheduled for 3:49 p.m. We have drivers' introductions right around 3 p.m. And Hannah Dasher, who is a country music artist and TikToker, is going to perform the national anthem. We go for 68 laps total today. Stage 1 ends at 15, stage 2 at 30, and then as long as no one goes crazy, we should end at lap 68. Pre-race coverage will be on Fox FS1, and then go over to Fox. Today, I did choose Chase Elliott to win, and then moved over to my dark horse as Austin Cindric. So yes, that's my dark horse. So Chase Elliott is due to win a road course. He's just due. He has been beat out by his fellow teammate Kyle Larson quite a bit here recently. So hopefully we'll see what happens. But he does have some really big competition to go against. Again, Kyle Larson. He also has Martin Truex Jr., who's been huge. Austin Cindric. I'm going to throw him in there. He was a huge road course winner in the Xfinity Series. So that's again why Austin Cindric is my dark horse. In this situation, he was big in the Xfinity Series for winning the wonderful Xfinity Series. We did have a lot of issues again in inspection. We had 5 crew members ejected from COTA following inspection for pre-qualifying / pre-race inspection. The number 78 failed 3 times. So Andy Lally was not allowed to qualify and has to serve a pass-through penalty after taking the green flag on Sunday. 4 other cars failed inspection twice and lost a crew member and pit stall selection, which includes Brad Keselowski. He's already been penalized so bad this week and then gets hit with this too. Yeah. Now, Chase Elliott did win this race when it was rain shortened last year. So we'll see what happens if they make the right call. And guess who is on the front row? We have Ryan Blaney and Daniel Suarez. So our starting lineup for today is Ryan Blaney, Daniel Suarez, Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, Joey Logano, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Justin Haley, and Austin Cindric. So yeah, I'm looking. I see Chase Briscoe. And Chase Elliott starting 12th. I was like, oh, where is Chase Elliott starting? I was completely missing him. JJ, your driver starts 23rd. In the 23. We have 39 cars today. 17 Fords, 6 Toyotas, and 16 Chevrolets. I will say watch for drivers to come in at least 3 laps prior to the end of the stage. We tend to see that happen quite often at these wonderful road courses so that drivers don't have to pit during the stage breaks. They'll come in and get fuel and tires because they're longer. The laps are longer. They don't have to worry about going down a lap. So they'll come in just prior to the stage break, get fuel, get tires, and then get back out there. So that will probably be a leading theme for today's race. To get track position, it will be very interesting to see who does use that strategy and who ends up using it to their advantage. It's probably going to be Brad Keselowski, being he seems to be having issues with penalties this week. At a minimum, Brad Keselowski. So, He says on Twitter, though, he's looking forward, even with all the massive penalties that they have suffered this week, and focusing on that and not the penalties. I'm hoping that, they're learning and know that this is something new for them. It's a new team, but NASCAR was very, very direct in what they will and will not accept with the changes in the next gen car. They were not playing. They do have wet tires in case it does rain, and the red blinky lights and a windshield wiper today, in case it's needed. I think they did learn from last year's COTA to be careful of too much water on the track. They did have some unsafe conditions last year with the car, so it's going to be different to see how it all plays out. They're looking to have dry conditions today, so I don't think it's necessarily going to be needed, but they do have that option if need be. Jay had Daniel Suarez as his dark horse and Larson as his winner. So happy Sunday, y'all. Happy race day. And I will actually do Monster Minutes next week, and before going to be live from Richmond Raceway. So thank you, Richmond. We'll be back at Richmond Raceway next weekend. Super excited to be able to be back at our home track here at Richmond. Man, I can't believe it's already April almost. But yes, we'll be back at Richmond Raceway this coming weekend, live. Hopefully doing some live coverage directly from Richmond for everyone. But I will do Monster Minutes that morning before we have that afternoon's race. Happy Sunday, and I will see you next week. Bye, y'all.
Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.